So tell me about your son. Tell me about your daughter. I think that might be the most important question in special needs planning. And yet it's almost never where the conversation starts. You see, most professionals and families come into meetings asking questions like, do we need a special needs trust? Should we open an ABLE account? What happens when we're gone? And for me, before I go any further in this conversation, I want you to know those are good questions. They're important questions. And I completely understand why families ask them. But honestly, that's how these conversations have been framed for years. That's the conversation parents are expecting. But instead of answering those questions first, we need to ask different ones. Tell me about your son. Tell me about your daughter. Not their diagnosis, not their medications, not their government benefits. Tell me about him. Tell me about her. And almost every time I ask those questions, the conversation changes. Just last week, a dad paused for a brief moment when I asked that question, almost caught by surprise. And he sat back and he smiled and he said, "Oh, well, he loves the Cubs." And the mom laughed and she told me, she said, he can tell you who played third base for the Cubs 10 years ago, but he still can't remember where he left his shoes. And we all laughed in that moment. For the next few minutes, we didn't talk about trusts. We talked about baseball. We talked about the Cubs. We talked about what lights their son up. We talked about who he is. And you know what's interesting? Maybe for the first time in a meeting focused on their son, these parents weren't talking about a diagnosis anymore. We were talking about a son. And that's exactly where I believe every planning conversation should begin. Because over the years, I've found that I can't build a great plan until I really understand the person that we're planning for. The legal strategies matter. The financial strategies matter. The government benefits matter. Every one of those things and so much more is important. I just don't think they belong in the beginning of the conversation. I think they belong after we understand the person. You see, somewhere along the way, our profession has become incredibly good at building plans. But I think we need to become better at understanding people. Because strategies don't create purpose. They protect it. The plan should always serve the person, not the other way around. And that's why I believe planning doesn't start with products. It starts with your child. And once we understand your child, the right strategies become much more clear. So before you ask, what documents do we need? Or which benefit should we apply for? I'd encourage you to ask one question first. What kind of life are we trying to build? Because once you answer that, everything else starts making a whole lot more sense. So if this is a different way of thinking than you've heard before, I'd love to have you follow along. Every week, I'm going to share the conversations I'm having with families, the patterns that I'm seeing, and the frameworks that I believe help families make better decisions for the people that they love the most. I can't wait to see you in the next one.